This is the story of a man who decided that pain would no longer decide his limits.
As a child, he learned one lesson early. Life would not be gentle.
In school, insecurity followed him, reinforced by self-doubt and poor grades.
By his early 20s, Goggins weighed nearly 300 pounds and felt trapped.
His body reflected a mind that had surrendered. Then one night, he saw something that shook him awake. Elite soldiers enduring pain most people run from.
In that moment, he realized how far he had fallen behind his potential.
And he made a decision that would change everything. He would rebuild himself from the inside out. Not with motivation, but with discipline.
Every day became a confrontation with pain.
Goggins began tracking his failures, refusing to look away from them.
This was the start of what he calls accountability.
Comfort was no longer an option.
Each time he wanted to quit, he stayed a little longer.
This mindset would become the foundation of his transformation.
But this was only the beginning of how far he would push himself.
To test his new resolve, Goggins set his sights on the hardest standard he could find.
He decided to become a Navy SEAL, despite being told he was unqualified.
Doctors warned him his body was not built for extreme endurance.
But rejection only sharpened his focus.
With a strict deadline, he began losing weight at a brutal pace.
Day by day, his identity started to shift.
Sleep, comfort, and excuses were stripped away.
Training became a form of mental warfare.
Every second was measured against his own resistance. The principles he lived by were becoming unbreakable.
Eventually, he earned a chance to enter SEAL training. The environment was designed to break the unprepared.
Pain, exhaustion, and doubt were constant companions.
His body began to fail under the pressure.
He learned that the mind often quits long before the body.
So he trained his mind to stay present in suffering.
Each hardship became proof that he could endure more. What once seemed impossible was becoming normal. Survival in training demanded more than strength. It demanded strategy. Goggins learned to break pain into small, manageable moments.
He focused only on the next step, not the finish line.
This mental trick kept him moving when others collapsed.
Pain followed him even into moments meant for rest.
Each morning, he chose to continue despite the damage.
Her body adapted, but her mind grew sharper.
The philosophy he lived was simple. Suffer now, grow later. Cold exposure stripped away comfort and ego alike.
In the cold, panic was the real enemy.
Goggins learned to stay calm inside chaos.
The option to quit was always within reach.
But he refused to touch it.
He discovered a hidden reserve beyond perceived limits.
Even when his health raised alarms, his resolve stayed firm.
Each scar became a reminder of what he survived.
Pain was no longer a warning. It was information.
Training reshaped how he understood suffering.
What remained was a mind trained to endure anything.
After training, the real test began in everyday life.
He realized that mental toughness wasn't situational, it was a lifestyle.
Every day became another chance to push past comfort.
Distance was no longer something to fear.
Soon, he sought challenges beyond military standards.
Endurance racing became his next battlefield.
The distances were extreme, the preparation minimal.
Pain returned quickly, familiar, and unforgiving.
His body began breaking down again. But he refused to let pain rewrite his goals. Even in total darkness, he stayed present. Fatigue blurred everything except the next step.
Morning arrived, but he did not stop.
Each finish expanded his sense of what was humanly possible.
Limits, he learned, are usually self-imposed. Recovery became another form of discipline. Over time, Goggins began turning experience into principles.
Excuses were identified and removed, one by one. This process became his system for mental toughness.
Discipline, he learned, is built in unobserved moments.
Waiting for motivation was no longer an option.
Action came first, feelings followed later.
The lessons were now meant to be shared.
Goggins began speaking about suffering and responsibility.
Not to inspire comfort, but to challenge complacency.
His message was direct and uncomfortable.
Because change rarely feels good at first.
The book captured lessons written in pain.
Each chapter reflected a confrontation with limits.
The goal was clarity, not comfort.
The message returned to a single idea. The mind decides long before the body gives out.
And that decision can be retrained.
The challenge is whether you are willing to try.
The final lesson is not about becoming someone else.
It is about becoming accountable to who you already are.
Goggins insists you start by telling yourself the truth.
Then you face the parts you've been avoiding.
This practice builds what he calls the calloused mind. Progress is made through small, uncomfortable choices. Each one strengthens your tolerance for resistance.
Over time, discomfort loses its power.
The method is simple, but never easy.
And it applies far beyond physical challenges.
The same mindset carries into work, learning, and life.
When effort feels heavy, that is where growth hides.
The message is not comfort, but capability.
Tomorrow is treated as another test.
And the test always begins early.
Because waiting for the perfect moment never works.
The path is already there. The question is whether you will walk it.
No one is coming to save you.
The work is yours, and it starts now. Subscribe for Money Mindset books.